All right, today we're going to dive into this hidden world, the one that really decides whether the products you love succeed or just fail. We're talking about operations management. Think of it like the unseen engine humming away inside every single successful business. And you know what? We're about to pop the hood and see exactly how this thing works. Okay, let's kick things off with something we've all seen, right? You hear about a huge car recall, or you see news about contaminated food getting pulled from the shelves. Well, what you're actually seeing is the result of an operations failure. It's exactly what happens when that engine we were just talking about completely breaks down. So, what is this thing, this crucial function that keeps businesses running smoothly? And why is getting it right like the absolute difference between a brand you love and one that's just a cautionary tale? Okay, let's dive into the basics. Okay, to put it really simply, operations management, or OM for short, is the whole system that's responsible for, well, everything involved in making a company's stuff. It's the part of the business that takes all the ingredients, raw materials, people's work, and transforms them into the actual products and services you and I use every single day. Now, it's super easy to get OM mixed up with supply chain management, but here's the dead simple way to tell them apart. Operations management is all about looking inward, focusing on what's happening inside the company's four walls. Supply chain management, that looks outward. It's all about the suppliers, the shipping, the logistics, basically everything it takes to get the raw materials in and the finished product out to you. So this whole challenge of making things efficiently, it's definitely not new. I mean, companies have been trying to get this right for more than 200 years. You could say that the history of operations management is really the history of the modern industrial world. It's that big. And man, the evolution has seen some huge leaps. I mean, it all really kicks off with Adam Smith's completely game-changing ideas on the division of labor. Then it gets supercharged by Henry Ford's revolutionary moving assembly line. And then things take this really interesting turn. People start studying this radical new idea, worker motivation. But the modern era, that was truly defined by the rise of Japanese manufacturers and their whole philosophy of lean production. So all of this leads to a pretty big question, right? After all these years, who finally cracked the code? Who really, truly mastered modern operations? For decades, American companies were on top of the manufacturing world, no question. But then, in the back half of the 20th century, the answer, and frankly, the entire future of production, came from a place almost no one expected. And that, right there, brings us to an absolute masterclass in efficiency from Toyota. See, they didn't just tweak the existing methods. Nope. They completely rewrote the rulebook. They created a whole new way of thinking about production. What they developed is called the Toyota Production System, or TPS. And on the surface, its main goals sound pretty simple, but they are incredibly profound. Their mission was to design out any inconsistency, they have a word for it, MURA, to avoid overburdening people and machines, that's MURI, and most famously, to eliminate every single possible form of waste, which they call MUDA. The way TPS works is just fascinating. The first thing is creating a smooth, continuous flow. The idea is that problems have nowhere to hide. They just pop right up to the surface. Then they use a pull system. This means you only make what's needed for the very next step. No more, no less. That simple idea avoids all kinds of costly overproduction. And maybe the coolest part, they built a culture of what's called jidoka, where literally any employee is empowered to stop the entire production line to fix a problem. That way, quality is baked in from the very beginning. And one of their most famous concepts is something called heijunka. It's all about leveling out the workload. So instead of these crazy, frantic bursts of work followed by nothing, working like the hare, the goal is to keep a steady, consistent pace. Work like the tortoise. It just gets rid of all that unevenness and stress on the entire system. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. A ton of other companies, especially in America, saw how successful Toyota was and tried to copy them. I mean, they installed the exact same systems, used the same tools, but it just didn't work. They failed. So what gives? What was Toyota's secret sauce? The thing that almost everyone else missed was this. It was never, ever just about the tools. It was about the people. Toyota got it. They understood that a system is only as good as the people who are actually running it. They built this amazing culture where employees weren't just seen as cogs in a machine. No, they were treated as valuable problem solvers who were actively encouraged to make the system better every single day. Yeah, Their competitors could go out and buy the same alert cords, the andon cords, to signal problems. They could use the same visual tracking cards, the Kanban system, to manage their workflow. But they were completely missing the invisible part, the culture underneath it all, that actually made it work. See, the tools were easy to see, easy to copy. The philosophy, not so much.
They were looking at the tools, but they were totally blind to the philosophy. And that was the real engine. It was a deep, company-wide commitment to constant improvement, what's known as Kaizen. It was thinking long-term, valuing stability instead of just chasing short-term profits. And you know what the most important piece of all? A real, genuine respect for the people doing the work.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool story about a car company, but how does this apply to me? I don't work in a factory. Well, the amazing thing is, the principles behind all this are totally universal. Really, these lessons from Toyota are the bedrock of modern operations management. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about software development, working at a hospital, or managing a coffee shop. It all comes down to a few key things. Being obsessed with creating value for your customer, getting rid of waste in all its forms, trusting and empowering your people to solve problems, and always, always basing your decisions on a long-term philosophy. So, let me leave you with this final thought. When we talk about waste, it's not just about, leftover scrap metal on a factory floor. It's that wasted time you spend in a pointless meeting. It's the wasted motion of hunting for a file you can't find on your computer. It's the wasted potential of a great team that isn't trusted to do its job. So, I want you to take a look at your own daily operations, at work, or even at home. Where can you find the waste? And what's one small thing you could do to operate just a little bit better tomorrow?